Hi, my name is Amy Bailey, and I'm a program coordinator with Safe States Alliance. Today, I am joined by Gina Peterson from Florida State Alliance of YMCA's and Foundation in Florida to discuss our Partnership in Action Seed Grant project. Before I hand things over to Gina, I wanted to give a short background about the Seed Grant project. Safe States Alliance released two guidebooks, Preparing to Partner, or as we refer to it, Prepare, and Strengthening Partnerships Between Business and Public Health, a roadmap for advancing community injury and violence prevention, which we refer to as the roadmap, to provide partners with guidance, tools, and case studies for building and sustaining public-private partnerships. Gina's project was one of 3 seed grantees awarded funding to use the tool and showcase the translation of best practices into real-world settings. Florida State Alliance of YMCA's and Foundation use the Prepare and Connect sections of the roadmap as a guide to identify goals and increase cross-sector collaboration in their community. With that background, I'll turn it over to Gina to introduce herself and provide a short summary of her project. Gina?
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for having us. Thank you for helping us with this work and funding and allowing us to spend the time that was needed to really make this project possible. So as Amy said, my name is Gina Peterson, and I am the State Director of Drowning Prevention and Community Health Initiatives for the YMCAs of Florida. So in my role, I serve as a subject matter expert. I do assist with peer networking for all of our directors and ensuring that new people coming into the work have someone that can mentor them and help them through. And we host monthly mentoring sessions where we exchange ideas and build relationships within our state workers. So our project, as Amy mentioned, was the Partnership in Action. And so our goal was really to create an environment similar to what we have in our drowning prevention space, which is a group of stakeholders that comes together monthly that's called Water Smart Florida. And so the key is really to get experts from across the state, people who are doing the work at a local level, and really try to connect the local level work to what's happening at a state level so that we can work on advocacy and other things that maybe our local coalitions are not able to do.
That's great. And so you mentioned that you were that you're building your coalition, that was a big part of your project, was building your coalition and creating these partnerships. Did you have a big aha moment as you were recruiting members for your coalition?
Well, I think one of the funny things, and I think we all experience this at some point in our lifetime, is there's the groups of people that everybody wants to be a part of, and that does not go away as adults in the professional setting. So I think one of the tricks was being in my role now only 13 months, is that relationships play a key in everything. And I'm very fortunate that I had existing relationships from previous roles that actually carried into the work in Florida. So that was extremely helpful because the colleagues that I had that responded the most, that made referrals for people to be part of these groups, were the ones that I'd already established relationships with. So if I had just come in brand new and didn't really know anyone in the YMCA movement or the state of Florida, whether it's government, local, some of our other task forces that we have across the state, it would have been very, very difficult to recruit, because we still, when you want the best of the best, you tend to find that they're also the busiest. So they want to make sure that before they say yes to something, they know who else is on the team, right? They want to make sure that we have MVPs and that we're not, they're not getting into something that's going to use their time, which is precious, and not get something done. These are doers. They want to get things done. And the risk that you always have with doers is that once you invite them and tell them it's time to go, they're ready to go. So you have to be ready to go also. So I think that was probably, one of the biggest ahas, is just, how do we find these movers and shakers, or whatever the new word is for, the people that get stuff done, and make sure that they felt like they were going to be with like-minded people who are also wanting to get things done. And on the kind of the equity side, and just making sure that we were creating, diversity, that was also challenging, to make sure that we had representation from various groups, various levels. We, as you know, also engaged youth. So we had some focus groups that we ran over different nights to ensure that we could get good attendance. So we could get, high schoolers, and Gen Z, all the way up to young adult, because most of our strategic planning group that we were working on were a little bit older, more mature in their work, and we wanted to hear a youth voice. So that was also a little bit of a challenge. And also the scheduling. So we ended up with over 30 people that accepted our invitation to be part of this. And as you know, we decided to do a monthly hour-long session instead of gathering together in one, place for an in-person. So juggling schedules and trying to make sure that we could get the majority of those 30 people to be able to attend and participate was very important to our process. So that also required a little bit of, just being a little bit nimble and being willing to try to work with the majority.
Your project did a really great job with using the prepare part of the guidebook to really identify who should be involved, to make a list, a very thoughtful list of who should be involved in this coalition, and then determining the goals of your coalition, getting together and looking at what those shared priority areas are. So as you were working through your coalition and you started meeting, did you have a challenge that came up in your project, and how did you overcome that?
I think the biggest challenge is really the attendance and the scheduling. So once we kind of figured out that we had a group that even if they missed, they were going to do the work, that made the scheduling part a little bit less of a barrier. We were very fortunate that some of even one of our physicians who's actually doing his residency, and as you know, residents are working, however, hundreds of hours a week. He still made time to update the mural, update, whatever board we were using, and gave his input. So I feel like we somehow, whether it was by luck or what, we were able to make people understand that this was really important work. And they wanted to be part of it, and they also wanted to have their voices heard. So when the minutes went out, I was always amazed, and I think I shared that with you at a couple of our check-in calls, is that I'm amazed at how many have gone in after the meeting that they were unable to attend and made sure that we had their voice and that their voice was heard. So that was very impressive to me, and it also validated that we chose the right people to be part of this journey.
Absolutely. I think when you're building a coalition, having that flexibility with your members is so important to keep them engaged. And it sounds like you guys did a great job with just making sure that they had that flexibility. They had the different options of attending the meetings, participating through the mural boards, in different areas of participation, so that you were hearing all the voices of your stakeholders in the community. So what advice would you give to your to other partners who are working to establish a coalition?
I think the biggest thing is, one, we need to already have relationships, right? I think a lot of times when we do this work, whether it's a nonprofit or a governmental agency, is we know that we're in it for the right reasons, and we just assume that the communities are going to welcome us with open arms. And so we have to be constantly building relationships that we may not know why in this moment in time it's important, but down the road it's going to be important to have built those relationships to make sure that we follow through on any promises that we make, so that people are, when we come for the ask, they're willing to join with us because they know that they can trust us and that we are really engaged in wanting to make a difference in their communities. So I think that's really important, because if you align yourself inadvertently with people who are not respected in those communities, you're going to end up isolating the people that you do want in your stakeholder group, because they are not comfortable. They don't have the trust level with those people. So vetting who you ask, not just being like, this person responded from this very prestigious organization, so we're gonna accept them, is being a little bit more like, quality is more important than quantity. And so getting the right people on the bus, as they say, and having those respected people, I think, is huge, because if you do happen to get the wrong people on the bus, you're going to miss getting the folks that are really the ones who can make a difference in whatever the work you're trying to do, because other people won't want to be part of it. So I think that that's really something that is hugely important, especially if at my level, at a state level where I'm not doing the local engagement, I need to make sure that I have relationships with the people who can connect me to those people in their communities that are the right people to put on the bus and have us help with doing this work. So I think that that's really hugely important. That's probably the biggest lesson that I would take from it, is that the quality of the people is more important than the quantity.
Absolutely. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us today and talking to us about your coalition and the lessons that you've learned, and how you've really taken the prepare and connect sections of the roadmap, and put them into good use in your project. So we appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for the funding, because it wouldn't have been possible without you. So we're looking forward to the work that's going to come out of this group as we move forward into our action plan.
We can't wait to see it as well.